Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition class breakdown tutorial. And this particular tutorial deals with the Warlock Baseline class features. Now, the Warlock is a very unique type of caster class in Dungeons & Dragons 5e, and it's not your traditional type of caster, I'm going to say, where you have a pool of memorized spells and you get spell slots per day, depending on what level you're casting. So, as you can see here, on the table for the Warlock, you have cantrips known, spells known, spell slots, and then the spell level that you cast, and then the invocations. So this is all things that we're going to discuss just a little bit later. But you can see that the Warlock also gets the proficiency bonus from 2 to 6, just like every other class in 5e. You're going to get a multitude of class features from Otherworldly Patron. You're going to get your Eldritch invocations, which are basically your bread and butter of being a Warlock. You're going to get Pact Boons. You're going to get 5 ability score improvements. You'll also get a Mystic Arcanums, and finally Eldritch Master. So, base class features are 1d8 for the hit points for your Warlock every level. You're going to start at max hit points, which is 8 plus your Constitution at level 1. Then every level thereafter, you will do either one of two things. If your DM allows you to take that flat 5, you can do that, add your Constitution modifier, or some Dungeon Masters, he or she will just tell you to flat out just roll the 1d8 and you're stuck with what you get. So, my games, I usually let them choose between the 1d8 or the flat 5. But don't forget, add your Constitution modifier. That's for every level past first level. Proficiencies, Warlocks can use light armor. Their weapons, simple weapons. They get no tool proficiencies. Their saving throw proficiency bonuses are for wisdom and charisma. And the saving throw proficiencies mean that you would just add whatever your proficiency bonus is currently, depending on your level, to any saving throws for those two particular saves. Now, you're going to get to choose from 2 skills from Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. So you get to choose 2 out of those. And then you'll also get to do one of 2 things for your starting equipment. First off, you can do a 4d4 times 10 and buy your equipment whatever you want that way outright, or you can take the option here and start with the following equipment, and it gives you a choice, 4 different choices here. Now also, don't forget everybody, when you play any class in 4e, and the Warlock is no exception, you will choose a background depending on what type of background you want your class to be. So you will also get some more starting equipment there, and you will also get a little bit of money too. And you'll also get 2 more proficiencies. Sometimes you'll get a tool proficiency, but it just depends on the background that you take. So you also are going to want to look at those. Now, for races, this is a charisma-based class, so you want to choose something that has a charisma, something like a bonus, maybe a tiefling, maybe a half-elf. But ultimately, it's up to you. You can have a half-orc be a warlock. You can have a human. That's the great thing about 5th edition. It gives you the freedom to choose any race that you want. So let's go ahead and dive right in to all of this warlock goodness. So first, you're going to get Otherworldly Patron, which is at level 1. Now, the Otherworldly Patron is your archetype. Every class in D&D 5e gets to choose one of these, but it's kind of nice for the Warlock because they don't have to wait till level 2 or level 3 like most of the other classes in 5e. You get to choose your Otherworldly Patron right off the bat at level 1. So when you choose an Otherworldly Patron, which there are 3 for the Warlock in D&D 5e, they are the Archfey, the Fiend, or the Great Old One. And when you choose one of these Otherworldly Patrons, that means that you're going to get some more flavor to go on top of the Warlord that you're already going to get for baseline Warlock features. And they're pretty nice. You're going to get to choose from 3. Now you're going to get more class features at level 1, level 6, level 10, and level 14. And those will be in the other tutorials for those particular archetypes. So it's basically just more flavor to add on to your Warlock, and it's really nice. Now, magic, as I said, the Warlock is not your traditional type of caster. And what I mean by that is your cleric, your druid, your wizard, they have spell slots per day. So they'll have first level spell slots all the way to ninth level spell slots. So you'll get a multitude of spells that you can cast every day between 1 to 9. The Warlock doesn't work like that. They basically have a spell level depending on their level, and all of your spells will automatically cast at an upgraded spell level, which is really nice. We'll get into that more in just a second. But the first thing you want to worry about for spellcasting in a Warlock is definitely your Charisma modifier, your Charisma ability score. That is your most important stat for being a Warlock. So you're going to have two things you need to worry about as you're raising your Charisma. You need to worry about your spell save DC, which is a base of 8, plus your proficiency bonus and your Charisma modifier. So as you can see, over time, as you gain more levels, your spell save DC will go up. Now your spell save DC is the target number that if you cast a spell on a creature, they need to make a saving throw, then that saving throw has to match or beat your number, and then they'll be successful. And if they get below your target number, then they're not successful. So they'll probably take more damage and have more conditions put on them. Your spell attack modifier is the other thing that you really need to pay attention to. That is your to-hit bonus for your spells. And that the formula for adjusting to finding out your spell attack modifier is your proficiency bonus and your charisma modifier added together. Also, you're going to need to worry about having a spellcasting focus. So you need to have one of two things. You need to have a spellcasting focus, which will be in Chapter 5 in the equipment section. And what a spellcasting focus does is this. First off, it does not give you any other plus to hit. But what it does do is it satisfies the material part of the components for your spell. Unless that spell has a material component that is assigned a gold piece or monetary value. Take, for instance, the Identify spell. You have to have a 100 gold piece diamond, and the diamond is not consumed, but you do have to have that on you. So if you do not have that diamond on you, then it will not work. So the spellcasting focus works if you have basic materials like bat guano, or a witch's eyeball, or an ogre hair, piece of ogre hairs, the minor things like that. Now this also does the same thing as a spell casting component pouch, which you can purchase too in the equipment section. So let's go to the cantrips. You're going to get cantrips as a Warlock. And basically you're going to start at 2 cantrips of your choice from the Warlock spell list. You're going to learn additional Warlock cantrips of your choice at higher levels as shown in the cantrips known column of the Warlock table. So let's open up our Warlock. You're going to see that you get to choose the cantrips from here, and then you're going to get to choose spells from spell levels from level 1 to 9. And you're going to see here that there is a great arsenal of spells at your disposal for playing a Warlock. So back to the actual matrix here, you're going to see you start with 2 cantrips and you go all the way to 4 cantrips in the later levels. So with the spells, let's talk about your spell slots. The Warlock table shows how many spell slots you have available to you. The table shows what the level of those spell slots are, and all of those spell slots are the same level. So like I said, you no longer have to worry about having 1st through 9th level spell slots. So they're cutting all of that micromanagement out for you. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. Now to cast one of your Warlock spells at 1st level or higher, you will expend a spell slot. Now the great thing about the Warlock is you will regain all of your expended spell slots when you finish a short or long rest. And the reason for that is basically the Warlock doesn't get as many spells to cast as your traditional Druid, Cleric, or Wizard. So as we look at the Warlock Matrix table again, you see that a total of 2 spells. So of 1st level spells, 2 off of that table. You can cast 1 because you have 1 spell slot that you can cast a day, and that spell will be of 1st level power. All right, that's straightforward, so you don't have to worry about all the different levels anymore, like I said. Now let's go to level 5. Now you can see that at level 5, you're going to know a total of 6 spells between first and third level. So because you can see, whenever you do use one of your spell slots, which you are only going to have 2 that you can cast a day, you're going to automatically cast that spell at a third level power. So really straightforward there. You get 2 spell slots, you cast it. Thunder Wave is first level, but automatically it's going to upgrade. And most of the spells, not all, but most of the spells that you're going to be able to cast as a Warlock do upgrade. And you can see that you cast up to 5th level in power, which is really nice. And at the maximum, you'll have 4 spell slots. And that is the reason why you get your spells back at a short rest, is because you're not going to have the big multitude of spells that the other traditional classes are going to have, like the Cleric, the Druid, and the Wizard. So there you go. That's explaining the spell slots for you. Now to go back to the spell list, like I said, you're going to have tons of spells, and I just want to show you one spell. Now you see Hellish Rebuke here, okay? Now Hellish Rebuke, it is a reaction spell. There's all of the different requirements that take it, but I want to show you here at higher levels. Now when you cast Hellish Rebuke using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the damage is going to increase by 1d10 for every spell slot. So you'll be able to cast this, and every time you automatically cast a spell slot at a higher slot, your Hellish Rebuke or whatever spell that you're casting will increase in damage. So that's a really nice automatic perk for the Warlock. Now, next, let's go ahead and we'll talk about your Eldritch Invocations. Now, this is pretty much the bread and butter of the Warlock. And in your study of occult lore, you have unearthed Eldritch Invocations, which are fragments of forgotten knowledge that imbue you with an abiding magical ability. At 2nd level, you gain 2 Eldritch Invocations of your choice. There are a total of 32 of these Eldritch Invocations to choose from, so there's lots of variety for you. Your Eldritch Invocations options are detailed at the end of the class description, which I'm fixing to show you, and when you gain certain Warlock levels, you gain more of these Eldritch Invocations of your choice, as shown on the table that I'm fixing to show you. Now, one other great perk about the Eldritch Invocations is when you gain a level in the class, you can choose one of the invocations and you can, if you don't like it, you can just kind of throw it away, and you can replace it with another invocation that you learn instead. So, but just make sure it has to be a level in which you gain an invocation, and then you can take and change one. You can choose only one. So let's go ahead and now let's take a look at the Eldritch Invocations. And you can see there are a multitude. There are 32. Now, whenever you choose an Eldritch Invocation, you're going to have to make sure that you meet basically the prerequisites for you to have, say, Agonizing Blast. The prerequisite is Eldritch Blast cantrip. So to take Agonizing Blast, straightforward, you have to have the Eldritch Blast cantrip. Now this is a perk that you're going to get to add. So if you choose Agonizing Blast for your Eldritch Blast cantrip, when you cast Eldritch Blast, you add your Charisma modifier to the damage it deals on a hit. Straightforward. It's really nice. And a lot of these Eldritch Invocations do that type of thing. So we'll take a look at another couple. We'll take a look at Ascendant Step. This is prerequisite level 9, so you have to be level 9 before you take this. Now, you can cast Levitate on yourself at will without expending a spell slot or material component. So that's a nice perk to have. So you can cast it on yourself at will without expending a spell slot or needing any of the material components. Really nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at Eldritch Spear. Eldritch Spear, prerequisite, Eldritch Blast cantrip. So as you can tell, Eldritch Blast is a really nice cantrip for the Warlock, because it's going to be a bread and butter spell for you. Even though it doesn't take a spell slot, you're going to take a lot of these different Eldritch Invocations and beef that Eldritch Blast cantrip up to where it's like a normal spell. Now, like I said, when you choose this, you're going to be able to cast Eldritch Blast at a range of 300 feet instead of its normal, which is really nice. Another example is Otherworldly Leap. This is another 9th level prerequisite, and you can cast Jump on yourself at will without expending a spell slot or material component. So you can see the trend here. You're going to get more free uses of spells because the Warlock does not get a lot of spells to cast in the first place. I mean, up to level 20, they only get 4. So you really have to manage the spells that you cast. But when you do cast a spell, holy cow, it's going to be really strong because your spells are automatically upgraded to up to a spell level 5, which can be really lethal and really deadly. So these are your Eldritch Invocations. This is a really, really, really nice feature about the Warlock, and it just adds on top of the limited spell slots. So your limited spell slots are definitely made up by these Eldritch Invocations. It's really nice. Now next, at level 3, you're going to get another great bread and butter thing here for the Warlock, is a Pact Boon. So your Otherworldly Patron bestows a gift upon you for your loyal service to he or she. You will gain one of the following features of your choice. You're going to have 3 to choose from: Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Blade, or Pact of the Tomb. So if you choose Pact of the Chain, that means that you automatically learn the Find Familiar spell and can cast it as a ritual. The spell does not count against your number of spells known, so that's straightforward. That's really nice. When you cast Find Familiar, you can choose one of the normal forms for your familiar or one of the following special forms for Find Familiar. You can choose an Imp, which is really strong, probably too strong, at the early levels anyways. Pseudo Dragon, really nice. You can choose Quasit or you can choose Sprite. Now additionally, for Pact of the Chain, whenever you take the attack action, you can forego one of your own attacks to allow your familiar to make one of its own attacks. So your movement will work independently. You'll be able to move your max movement. Your familiar will be able to move its max movement along with you, or if you want it to move away. But the attack action, if you want your familiar to attack, you're going to have to forego yours for it to attack straightforward. Next up is Pact of the Blade. This is where you can use your action to create a pact weapon in your empty hand. You can choose the form that this melee weapon takes each time you create it, and you can see Chapter 5 for all of the different options. It doesn't matter. Whatever kind of weapon you want. So this means that you'll be proficient with it while you wield it. This weapon also counts as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. Really nice. Pact of the Blade is really strong. Now, your pact weapon, if your pact weapon disappears more than 5 feet away from you for 1 minute or more, it will disappear. It will also disappear if you use the feature again, or if you dismiss the weapon, which takes no action to dismiss, or if you die. So the pact weapon can disappear. Now here's another great thing. If you have a magic weapon, now you can take this magic weapon and you can transform it into your pact weapon also by performing a special ritual while you hold the weapon. You perform this special ritual over the course of 1 hour, which can be done during a short rest because a short rest is 1 hour. You can then dismiss the weapon, shunting it into an extra dimensional space, and it appears whenever you create your pact weapon thereafter. You cannot affect an artifact or sentient weapon in this way. The weapon ceases being your pact weapon if you die, if you perform the 1 hour ritual on a different weapon, or if you use a 1 hour ritual to break your bond to the weapon. Now, you won't lose the magical weapon because the magical weapon will appear at your feet That's if it is in the extra dimensional space when that bond breaks. So just make sure it's in the extra dimensional space before you do another ritual. Now, the Pact of the Tomb is your final Pact Boon that you can choose from. And this is where your patron gives you a grimoire called a Book of Shadows. When you gain this feature, choose 3 cantrips from any class's spell list. Any. It can be the cleric, the wizard, the druid, any class that has cantrips. While the book is on your person, you can cast those cantrips at will. And they do not count against your number of cantrips known. That's really nice. The Pact of Tomb is really nice. If you lose your Book of Shadows, you can perform another 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement from your patron. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous book no matter where it is. The book will turn to ash when you die. So that is Pact Boons. You get to choose from 3 really nice features. Next, you're going to get your Warlock ability score improvements, and you can see that you can get a multitude of them from levels 4 to 19. So what the ability score improvements are is you can do one of 2 things. You can raise your ability scores. You can take 2 points, put it into one stat, or you can take 1 point and put it into 2 different stats. Pretty straightforward. But just remember, when you use ability score improvements, you cannot, and it states in the rules, you cannot raise an ability above 20. You can go as high as 20, and then that's it. Now, the other thing you can do is if your Dungeon Master, if he or she allows you to take a feat, you can go to Chapter 6 in the Player's Handbook to the Optional Feats section, and you can forego taking any kind of ability score improvement, and you can take a feat instead. But just remember, take into consideration, if you do take that optional feat, you will no longer be able to get the ability score improvement and raise your stats. So you'll get this at 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. Next, you're going to get Mystic Arcanum. And this is when you reach level 11. And this is where your patron bestows upon you a magical secret called an Arcanum. You can choose 1 6th level spell from the Warlock spell list as this Arcanum. Now, this Arcanum, you can cast this spell once without expending a spell slot. How cool is that? Now, you must finish a long rest before you can cast your Mystic Arcanum spell again. Straightforward, no need to go over that. Also, your Mystic Arcanum is going to upgrade as you level also. So at higher levels, you're going to gain more Warlock spells of your choice for your Mystic Arcanum that can be cast in this way. You're going to gain 1 7th level spell at 13th level, then you'll gain 1 8th level spell at 15th level, and then 1 9th level spell at 17th level. And then you'll regain all uses of your Mystic Arcanum when you finish a long rest. So that's really nice. Seeing that you have such a limited spell pool, Mystic Arcanum is really going to help you out big time. And especially coupled with all of your invocations, wow, the Warlock is really going to be a strong class, especially at the higher levels. Next, you're going to get Eldritch Master. Now, Eldritch Master is at level 20, and this is when you can draw on your inner reserve of mystical power while entreating your patron to regain expended spell slots. So, you can spend 1 minute entreating your patron for aid to regain all your expended spell slots from your Pact Magic feature. Once you regain spell slots with this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can do so again. That's really straightforward. There's no need to go over this also. Really nice. The Warlock is a really strong class. There's a lot of quirks to it with the invocations, all of your boon packs, your limited spell slots, your upgraded automatically spell slots. Really fun class to play, and I really recommend playing a Warlock in D&D 5e. So, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed the video. Please feel free to leave a comment down below Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to try a Warlock, go to my website at tabletopping.net. I have over 840 Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition character sheets. Every level, every class, every archetype, 840. They're all on nice 3-page PDF formats. Download it, go to your game, and have fun. So thank you guys again. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.